This podcast is brought to you by the Safe Roads for Us team and hosted by Shane J, founder of Safe Roads for Us.
My name is Shane and I'm the founder of Safe Roads for Us. Years ago, I was involved in a car crash which changed everything for me and for a community. So I have pretty much come to the conclusion that this is a topic that I need to speak about openly so that none of y'all ever end up where I ended up or on the other side. I've been doing this sort of work for over a decade, and every time I do a talk, the goal is that I impact one person making a bad choice.
What is the TAC Club Rewards Program?
The TAC program, it's called the TAC Club Rewards Program, which is run once a year, and they've been doing it for many years. It is effectively where the TAC, alongside with AFL Victoria, put together a pool of funding where the clubs showcase their ability to spread the message around road safety. And based on the work that they do, they are rewarded via TAC as well as AFL Club together. And the pool does change. However, the grant is capped at $10,000 per club.
How was your experience with TAC Club Rewards Program?
The experience with the TAC program was quite eye-opening. I think one of the biggest things that I understood through doing this work is that how footy clubs actually operate, and also the mateship that you really see when you go into this club. Every club that I walked into and had the conversation, they were really and truly wanting to make a difference because it is a community sport, especially in the regional areas. The amount of people who lose their lives are quite significant. So for them, every time a life is lost, it is someone they usually personally know and have got to know. So they are quite passionate about making this a program that actually has a real big impact in the community.
What are the benefits of the TAC Club Rewards Program?
The program benefits are immense. I think one of the biggest ones is the fact that because of their involvement, they get recognized. And also, on top of that, for them, it becomes where they are part of a community that is trying to make it better. And also, I think there's a trickle effect onto the players because the players, the footy and netball players, are people who are looked up to in the community. And they feel that overall, the club, the TAC, AFL Victoria, is actually genuinely concerned and they want to make it better for all of them so that all of them go back home safe.
What were your feelings about it?
While I was doing the program, doing these talks at clubs, I was mesmerized. One part was the fact that most of the time when I walk in, the club players never expect the story I'm going to share with them. So most of the time, they are surprised. Plenty of time, the players, the parents, the coaches have come up to me and said, "Mate, that could have been me. That could have been my friend, or that could have been my kid." Other experiences involve where, especially with teenagers, most of the time, the coaches don't think that they would listen. They think, they most of the time for them, it is like, oh, whether I'll be able to, not handle, but have that impact on the kids, whether they would listen to what we have to say. And invariably, most of the time, the entire team or the audience just goes silent. And it is surprising to them, including myself. So that has always been an aha moment, I think, to know something like this. By sharing a lived experience, you can actually impact or get people to understand things differently. Another part is the fact, the questions that I get, especially from teenagers, because they are quite inquisitive. And a lot of the times, I don't think the kids are bad. I don't think they are up to mischief. It's just that they are inquisitive and they want to know what it is like or what happened. And they don't have proper information out there. So I think by us going and having these conversations, they actually get an in-depth understanding of how choices that you make can actually have consequences.
Why should clubs get involved with Safe Roads for Us in the TAC Club Rewards Program?
As a club, if they get Safe Roads for Us involved, that means that we will provide them with a lived experience talk. Now, that lived experience talk is a talk which is a bit unique because most of the time, the talks that members and clubs hear is of someone that was lost and given by someone who was a relative. In this instance, I made a wrong choice. And that aspect is usually not shared by many. So that alone, I think, has a very big impact because most parents, coaches, including the teenagers, do not expect that I will be sharing a story like that. And I think, therefore, it sits well with them. On top of that, if they get us involved, we run it a bit differently. So it's never just a talk that we provide. We make sure that we provide them different tiered services where we look at what they are currently doing. We provide further input from our end, including social media posts, what scripts to use, how to make sure that you have a proper plan so that by the end of it, when you do apply for your grant program or for the grant, you have everything in one place. From a point of view, the impact on the teenagers is that they really see someone who is like me coming out and saying that you have a choice to make. If you make the right choices, the chances are you will have a better life. If you make a wrong choice, it can be catastrophic. So those are a few things that we touch base on by doing our talk.
Why do you think road safety is important?
I think one of the biggest parts of road safety and it being important is because people are dying on our roads. And when you say dying, it is people are losing their lives because of the fact that choices that are made are not great. Statistically, 95% of the fatalities happen because of human error, which means because there is a human involved. So I believe that if we have this conversation and we give the proper education to the younger generation, they should be able to make better choices. Our goal, I guess, across Victoria, across Australia, across the world is to make sure that no one actually loses their lives. We got to make sure that we keep on trying to make that vision the reality. And I believe the best way is through education. Having police involved is a requirement, absolutely. However, the chances are by that time, it is a bit too late. We got to look at it from a proactive point of view. And again, it all goes back to having these conversations and giving them the ability to speak up, because I think a lot of the time speaking up doesn't happen as much as we like it to be. And maybe only one time you can actually speak up and tell them that you've got to slow down. You shouldn't be doing this, or you should do this. And that can actually be the difference between life and death.
Is Safe Roads for Us affiliated to TAC or AFL Victoria?
Between TAC, AFL Victoria, and Safe Roads for Us, we are completely different. Safe Roads for Us has no affiliation with either TAC or AFL Victoria. Safe Roads for Us provides a service of having these conversations. And that's what we do, because we really want to make sure that this conversation, this story gets out there, because we believe that sharing lived experience through storytelling is one of the most powerful things that can be done.
Can interested football clubs still get involved?
A question that I get all the time is, we are a footy club, or we play football and netball. Can we take part in it? And the answer is largely yes. So long as you're part of AFL Victoria and you are within Victoria, of course, you can participate in this program. The program steps are pretty simple. You initially apply to AFL Victoria and TAC requesting to be part of the program. Once you do put in the application, they'll get back to you, and then you pretty much do what you have to do around road safety and upload the proof, and then they would do an assessment and then come up with an outcome. Again, there are nuances to this, but that is effectively how the program runs.
How does the Safe Roads for Us session work?
Safe Roads for Us, when we deliver our talks and our services, we do it in two ways. One way is we do it in-house. Physically, we would go to the club and have the talk. However, there are limitations logistically to do that with every club that wants to work with us. So we've got an alternate option. And that option is we run everything online. So for example, we have a webinar that we run. We do a Q&A, which is live. And then we provide you with all the support required so that you can actually apply for the grant program.
What inspired creation of Safe Roads for Us?
Safe Roads for Us was founded because of a life-altering incident that I went through. And I had two options. One is to move on and not share what happened. Or the other option was to talk about it openly so that people get to know in the light that they make better choices because they feel and understand that this can happen to them as well. The program that is run by TAC and AFL Victoria, I believe, is a great place to actually have these conversations. The reason being, it is mateship. It is a sport which is heavily involved within the communities. It is a sport that is very well respected. Players are very well respected. If you are part of a footy team, it is not just playing footy. You become part of that community. And if we can have these conversations around road safety, and not only around road safety, around everything that is out there which is impacting a younger generation, I think we can really make a big impact and help them make better choices. Again, going back to it, Safe Roads for Us was born out of an incident that happened. And by sharing that story, our only hope is every time we've shared that story, throughout the years and years to come, at least one person makes a better choice, and that choice helps them to get back home safely.
How can I contact Safe Roads for Us?
If you're not part of a footy team, a netball club, or any other sporting clubs, if you want to hear what we have to say, you can absolutely get in touch with us. We would love to work with you all. We've spoken at places like JB Hi-Fi, to their national transport team, to Life Saving Victoria's Played Safe by the Water, at Deakin Uni, and the list goes on. And we hopefully and sincerely hope that if you believe that this can make an impact on your family, on your teenagers, or the extended workplace, or your university, please reach out. We would love to hear from you all and to share this story and make it a shared vision, because again, every life that is lost is too many.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Safe Roads for Us.